Hello and welcome to your 30-minute webinar on setting smart objectives. My name's Kat and I've been working with managers for over 20 years, helping them to get the best out of their teams by having really good conversations and some practical tools that can help you. And today we'll explore those in detail. So I'll just share with you an overview of what we're going to cover in the next 30 minutes. So we'll have a look at the real objectives, the real problem with objectives today, why vague objectives kills performance. So when the objectives are wishy-washy and people don't really understand where the focus is, what can we do to avoid that? We'll have a look at SMART. Now, you're most probably really familiar with SMART already. There's specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. But we're going to put a little spin on that and think about what actually sits behind those words. We're going to look at how to write them and who to write them with, because often it's better if we write them with the people who are going to be responsible for achieving those objectives where possible. And then the biggie is keeping those objectives alive and how we do that throughout the year. And we're not just reviewing them in formal situations. And of course, we've got to talk about AI's role here because it can be really helpful. But there are some safety warnings around that as well. So we'll cover those towards the end of the 30 minutes. So thank you for being here today, and I hope you get what you need to help your teams really drive performance in your workplace. So let's have a look at why sometimes they might not be working, and that is they're written once, maybe the start of the new year, and then they're filed away, and we don't talk about them again until it's formal review time. And we get them out and we think, oh, they're not really relevant anymore. Because in the world that we work in the real world that we work in, priorities change, directions change from an organizational perspective throughout the year. And we often don't go back and change those those objectives. Now, if we think about that, if I'm working for you in your team and we come to review the objectives and they're not relevant, it really makes me think about, how much value is there in having these objectives? So we'll have a look at how we can keep those alive throughout the year. They may be vague. It might mean something to you there and then in the moment when you've wrote it. But when you look back at it in even a month's time, you're both scratching your heads as to say, what did we actually mean there? And they're quickly forgotten because pressures come in every single day, as you know, and maybe we don't pay enough attention to what they should be working on.